you fabulous interior design professional. You are definitely in the right place because you're going to meet someone I absolutely adore. This woman was my editor at Style at Home magazine, and I was with them for 18 years. It's a really funny story. I had no intention to become an editor of a magazine, but a guy that worked at the magazine, Carl Loans, reached out to me and said, "Would you be willing to do a story for Christmas?" What's involved? Well, we need someone to decorate a house and show some ideas on how to get it all zhuzhed up for Christmas. And I said, "Oh, that sounds great. I do that anyway, not a problem." And a couple of weeks later, he called me. This was July, and said, "Okay, 2 weeks from now, we need to shoot the house for Christmas." And I'm like, "What? It's July." I had no idea how magazines worked. But anyway, I took on the challenge. I had a great time. And then one thing led to another. And the editor of the magazine asked if I'd be willing to do a monthly column, which I did for 18 years. Really, really, really fun. So Angela was one of my editors, and I became very close to her during that time. She's a beautiful writer. She taught me a lot. She had a lot of strong opinions about writing, and I really honed my craft. So thanks to her for that. And we've recently reconnected, and I just enjoy spending every minute I possibly can with her. And I'm going to tell a story at the beginning of this episode, a story that I tell frequently to business of design community people, and see if Angela remembers it, and you'll see what her answer is. But in this episode, we're going to talk about becoming a money warrior. And if you know my story, and maybe you do by now, you know that I sure didn't start out as a money warrior, and I'm not sure I'm a money warrior yet, but I am on my way to becoming one. And this conversation was exactly what I needed to give me the push I needed to go to the next step. And so you're going to be hearing more about this idea of being a money warrior in the next coming months, because I'm going to take some classes, I'm going to learn more, and I'm going to come back and share that with you. I'm also going to be sharing it in the Business of Design community. So if you're not yet a member, you really should be. Once a month, in addition to hundreds of video courses that will literally teach you how to run your business and run your projects, because those are two different things. Once a month, we have BOD live meetings where you can ask anything. And I have never gone to a single one of those BOD live events where I didn't learn something. And since I focus full time on learning everything there can be to learn in this business, you know that means there's really good stuff happening at the BOD live. There are so many loud, shiny things trying to get your attention as an interior design professional. So many coaches, so many programs. I'm just going to go out and say, yes, it might be self-serving, but I know that we are the best. We are 100% the OG, the best. So many of the programs that we find out about are people who have taken our courses and have kind of watered it down and are teaching it. We don't want you to learn that way. We really want you to take it from the source. And thanks to the smart members that we've known over the years, we've learned a lot. And I will continue to share what I'm learning with you. And this conversation today with Angela Lawrence in particular is going to benefit this community by a lot. So you are in the right place. Cheryl Horn's got some quick announcements, and I can't wait for you to meet Angela. And thank you so much for being here.
Well, since Kimberly already mentioned our BOD live meetings, let's start there. Our next one is coming up on July 24th. It's at 8 p.m. EST. That's going to be July 25th at 10 a.m. in Australia. Every once in a while, we like to do a late night session for us so that our Australian members can join. Although every once in a while, we do get Australians showing up in the middle of the night to join our regular time. But we're just going to do open coaching, whether you've got questions about programming or some of our past BOD live meeting topics that you weren't able to attend live. That's what we're going to be covering. And hopefully in celebration of having a lot of Australian members on that call, one of our recent guests on the podcast, Sam Traddles, has agreed to give away 2 of her books to members who join us live on that meeting, Negotiate Your Worth. Sam Traddles was recommended by one of our boss members in Australia. And if you didn't hear that podcast episode, it was just a couple of weeks ago. Make sure you listen in, episode 383. But try and join us live, and hopefully we'll get you one of those books. Also coming up, of course, October 26th, we're celebrating 20 years at High Point Market, and it's coming together. We're so excited, and we're seeing the list fill out for those planning to join us, some very long-time members, and even some of our business partners that I just can't believe after all these years I haven't met face-to-face, because I certainly feel like I know so many of you. So please save the date for that, October 26th, and make sure you check out the full event details on the website. We do have a full lineup, which starts with 3 mini seminars presented by Daniel House in 3 of their showrooms that are at High Point Market. So we're going to be at Four Hands, Sunpan, and Etu Home. And we're going to be talking about growing profitability with vendors, ignoring the budget and specifying better products, and how design fees are not enough. So join us for all of them or some of them. Locations for each of those showrooms are on the website as well. So make sure you map out your day if you're planning to join us. And then, of course, 3 p.m. is we kick off with our keynote presentation presented by Ann Moore at the Suites at Market Square. Our 2020 vision, looking back at the last 20 years, Kimberly's going to share 20 musts for your business. All of these systems and strategies that she's learned over the last 20 years. I'm sure it's hard to narrow it down to just 20, but she's going to share that. And the intention is for these to be actionable strategies that you can walk away and implement. And we do hope you implement it. Key to everything we do at Business of Design. You can't just learn. So just like you do within membership, what you learn, you need to turn around and take action. We really want you to do that following this presentation as well. And then stick around after, as we're going to celebrate 20 years and get to know our members face to face. Looking forward to it. Hope you can join us there. Again, details for all of this and more is at businessofdesign.com. Thanks so much.
And maybe that's, when Angela agreed to be on the podcast, we didn't really have an idea of what we wanted to talk about, but we'd recently caught up. And I know you're like, now you're in the restaurant world, you left the editing world, like your life has been extraordinary. And I just thought, what kind of lessons are there for other female entrepreneurs or other entrepreneurs that
Mhm.
we might be able to glean out of a quick conversation? So, I kick it off with lessons about money. That was a lesson that was really important to me. It stuck with me, and I still have trouble kind of owning my ability to ask for more money, but I do it now. I do it even though I find it scary and fearful. But were there other lessons that you've learned on the way about money and our relationship to it?
Oh wow. You know what? I wouldn't say that I had even at that time had a great relationship to money. And I was probably in a similar place of, that whole worthiness of asking for what you want and so on. Um, but since then, basically since was it 2008 when we had the, market crash.
Right.
At the time, I had someone else managing my money, and I really was not interested in looking at it. It's kind of like, okay, here it is, this and that, deal with it, let me know. And that actually woke me up. That woke me up because I realized no one's going to care about my money more than I care about it. And
Hmm.
so I ended up moving all of my money away from this person, like this advisor. And it sat somewhere else for a while. And then I was like, I really need to own my money. I'm getting older. I want to be able to, you know, live a carefree lifestyle for the rest of my life. I don't want to be, you know, in the retirement age worrying about money. And so I ended up, I'd say about 8 years ago, I started working with a mentor. And both my sister and I started working with a financial mentor, and I've learned so much. I've learned so much during that time. I decided my commitment to myself was to become a money warrior. And it was just like looking at, okay, what do I need to do? How can I do? And so on and so forth. So I took probably some risks later in life that maybe I wouldn't necessarily, it's not for everybody, but I've been really happy with what I've learned about money in the last 8 years, and being able to set myself up in a way that is going to, be comfortable for me. But so my advice would be that no one's going to care about your money more than you do. And that as much as you may not want to look at money, or you're afraid of money, you owe it to yourself to be, to be a fighter when it comes to, what you're worth and what you want your future to look like. Uh, Nowadays, especially in creative environments, working at a magazine, working at a large company, like those days are over for most people. You can't depend on something like a pension. So you have to look at creative ways in which you can make money. And I know when I was still at Style at Home, I bought my first home. I still live in the same home. And I'd made a decision then that I was going to buy a triplex. I was going to, live in one part of the house, and have an asset that actually was an asset, sense that it was a cash flowing asset. I still have this house. I've turned one of the units into an Airbnb, and I have a long-term tenant in the other apartment, and I live on the main floor, and it's given me a lot of financial flexibility. Yes, I haven't had as much space as I would love to have, but how much space do you need? And how much
Honestly,
space do you need, right? So that's another thing that really helped me. And at the time I made that decision was because I thought, well, what am I going to do after magazines? And I started thinking, well, maybe I'll become a producer. A lot of people were moving from, our magazine and other publications and going into working on television productions, especially like HGTV and things like that. And I thought if that were the case and I was going to become self-employed, I wanted to own a house and not have that house own me. So that was another reason why I decided to choose this type of a home. Yeah.
this is so interesting to me. I've been thinking the last couple of years, every time I have a meeting with my financial people, the market's been dynamic, let's put it that way. and
Yeah.
it goes up and it goes down. And I noticed that their fees come off whether it goes up or down, but I don't gain. And every time they call a meeting with me, they call a meeting at a moment where you've gotten some gain. But when I press them on, okay, it's up from today, but is it up from last year's lowest point? Well, they give me a little song and dance. And so I've been thinking lately that I actually want to make this change, but it never occurred to me to talk to any girlfriends about it and see if anyone else had done it. And you've done it.
Yeah. You know, one of the things is a lot of times people don't understand what their money is doing, you
Mhm.
know, especially when you have advisors, because first of all, there's a lot of hidden fees that people aren't aware of, especially things like mutual funds. I liquidated all my mutual funds. I don't have any money in that. And you know, there's certain things if you have RSPs, you can still deploy them in different ways. But one of the things too is people are paying lots of hidden fees. So they think that they may be making a 7% return, but with the fees that they're paying, they're probably making maybe like a 4%, you
Mhm.
know? And so I think when you have advisors who are taking a percentage of your portfolio as a fee, it may sound really small, like if they're like, well, it's, you know, it's 1% or it's, you know, 0.5%, that can add up to a lot of money over the years. I would never, ever have my money, you know, with someone that was taking a percentage of my portfolio. The best thing to do is if you want advice is to pay for it one-off advice, you know, and, you know, they can give you strategy. They can, you know, give you the advice, but do not have someone take a percentage of your portfolio.
So do
It
you
could be, it
you
could be
you
hundreds of thousands of dollars over
yeah,
a period of
sure.
time. Yeah.
So you purchase your own stocks. You do your own
I don't really have a lot in stock. I have most of my stuff in real estate, so second mortgages and and actual like you know deployed into different real estates. I have some stock, but it's specifically a company that I'm familiar with and I know the owners and so on.
Right.
And so there's different things, but I don't put it a lot. The thing about real estate and even as second mortgages, let's just say the market completely crashes, it's still attached to an asset. So there's still something that could be sold. When you have stock, it goes to zero. It's never going to come back. You've lost your money.
Right. Yeah, no question. It's interesting too that the conversation our financial guys have with us all the time is that we have too much real estate and they want us to liquidate and put it with them. And I'm like, there's no way I'm doing that. There's no way.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so super interesting. If you don't have a mentor who can guide you on how to make better choices, are there classes that people could sign up for? Because this idea of being a money warrior is super interesting to me.
You know what? There's a podcast that I listen to mainly because I think it's such a great um, podcast when it comes to the psychology of money. And it's I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And it's Ramit Sethi, and he interviews couples, mostly couples, and their dynamic in their relationship about money. And in doing so, he also teaches. Now he has his certain philosophies around money and how to invest it and so on and so forth. But it's really about understanding first, it's about your mindset when it comes to it, you know, because one of the things is with my mentors, um, we work on character building as much as learning about, you know, how to deploy money, how to, you know, this and that, these opportunities to invest in all these different, and I've invested in a lot of different interesting things, AI, all these things. But if you don't build character, then you can make money, you'll lose, it won't stay with you, right? Because money's an energy, right? And so it's really about understanding like who you are as a person, your own character, your own integrity, all those things as it relates to everything in your life, but especially money. It's like, for example, business. I would never do business with someone that I don't feel like I have built a relationship of trust with. And a lot of people go into business with people that they don't trust. And it's just a bad move,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not a good move.
Yeah.
And they may not think that they don't trust them, but they may not ever ask themselves that question, right? Do I trust this person? And so on. They may have a little, you know, intuition thing where, oh, I don't really feel 100% comfortable with this person, but I'm going to go ahead with this deal.
Yeah.
So, learning how to trust yourself, learning how to build relationships of trust, and then also building character that's a basically it's an attraction for money. Because like I said, money's an energy, right? You're either going to attract it to you or it's going to go somewhere else.
How I think about money is going to show up in my life. If I'm thinking that I have a lack, and
Yes.
one of my favorite sort of mantras is money comes easily to me. Money comes easily. Money comes easily. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll say it on a day when I feel like I lost something. I'll
Yes.
literally say, oh, money comes easily to me. Money comes easily to me. Beth Halstead. I think you guys are
Yeah.
okay. So Beth, one day we were out for a walk and she bent over in kind of an inconvenient location to pick up this penny that was dirty. And I said,
Mhm.
what are you doing? And she said, well, I don't want the universe to think I just walk by money and I don't care about it. So I'm like,
Right.
okay. That was the first time, it was many, many years ago. The first time I thought, oh, how I think about money, how I act about money is small things, not just
Mhm.
big things, but small things. So interesting.
Yeah.
We're getting all woo-woo. So people are like, oh, I don't know about this woo-woo stuff. But taking control of your finances, there's nothing woo-woo about that. And it's really empowering and it's sort of tragic that it's not something we're learning at a much younger age because I think a lot of guys feel a lot more comfortable in this arena.
Yeah. You know what? It's something I feel like very blessed that I had the opportunity to like really focus on this at this stage in my life. Luckily, I had been investing money and at least putting certain money away, RSPs, like just automated a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I am coming across people, our age who have not started, saving, or they do not have any plan for their future. And given that maybe they have 10 more years to work if they wanted to, and or just like they feel like they'll never be able not to work. And for me, that's sad because I really do feel like a lot of this is fundamental education that should be in our school systems,
Yeah.
that people should be required to do, you know, but it's a very interesting, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about, how people feel about money, but also how the system kind of pushes us towards things.
Hmm.
Like I do own this property, and it's great, but I feel that a lot of people feel I have to have a house, I have to buy a house, I have to, it's owed to me, or I got to do that to be really successful. And the truth of it is that if you understand money, you don't have to own a house that you live in. Like you could literally, yes, you can invest your money in other ways, and you could rent and still have a lot of financial success. And money, you're like I guess in the last 30 years, our expectation is that the housing market will just continue to increase, increase, increase. And historically, that's not the case. And so it's like, I just think there's so many alternatives. A lot of people, you know, they are very wealthy and they rent their primary residence because they don't want that money sitting in a $2 million condo or whatever, when it could be deployed and actually creating,
Hmm.
actually working for them.
Well, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that this current moment in time, you might be smarter to rent than to buy. And so of course, what did we do? We helped our daughter buy a house. That's what we did. There's just something about that primary residence. I feel like, oh, I feel like that for financial security, that feels so good.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, what are you going to do? I am determined to take a course to educate myself a little bit, and I'll report back to everybody when I do that. But you reminded me that this is something that I've been saying for a few years is important, but I haven't done anything about it. And complacency is just so dangerous. It really is. I don't want to
Mhm.
be on the other, 5 years from now and go, oh yeah, I meant to do that. I meant to do that. And I, like you, I'm shocked at the number of friends who don't have a plan for independent wealth as they're older. And this idea that I'll just keep working forever, as if, in my experience, I don't always have the choice to keep working. Like sometimes the
Mhm.
magazine closes or the TV show
Mm.
ends, or, So I suppose I could always get a job at Starbucks, but that might be hard to live on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, who would want to? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, like I will definitely be doing things. I mean, I'm not the retiring type, but to have the ability, like my goal is that within the next 5 years to be living somewhere hot in the winter. So, being able to
Oh,
do
I have an
remotely.
idea of a place you could think about.
Okay, tell me.
No, LA. Last time I saw you was in LA, but it wasn't very hot. It was pretty chilly this winter.
Yeah, LA is, I'll tell you where I'm thinking, and it's not one place. Like I feel like every winter will be like either more than one place or different places every winter because there's just so many places in the world that I'd love to spend time, extended time in. But one place that I'm interested in looking at is Antigua.
Oof.
And I have a friend who's there right now with her husband, and they started a company there and they're developing real estate there. But also, Antigua is working on becoming known as a tax haven, and so you can invest there. And depending on how much you invest, you could actually get citizenship as well.
Mm.
And I just want to find out more about what they're doing in Antigua. And it's a beautiful place. And I hear it's, very similar to Jamaica, even though it's smaller and different. But yeah, just like one of the places that I'm interested in finding out more about.
All right. Well, there must be a way to stop in LA on your way to Antigua.
Oh, I'll spend time in LA. As you know, my best friend lives in LA.
I know. Janet, how's the restaurant doing?
In LA?
Yeah.
It's good. That one?
What's the
Which
new
one?
restaurant called? Sorry, I've forgotten the
It's
name.
called Stella.
Stella.
Stella West Hollywood.
Felix is one of our favorites forever, but I haven't been to Stella yet.
Oh, you haven't been yet. Okay.
Not yet,
Yeah.
no. Because when I was there, it was you literally had the opening. I
Yeah,
never
we
want
did.
to go to a restaurant during the opening, but I will go. I will go next time I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. By the time you go back, I mean, it's already been getting great reviews and
no
it's
doubt.
just like it's the vibe, right? Because it's kind of has this almost old school kind of like Italian restaurant kind of vibe. The decor is amazing. The same interior designer is who I worked with on Chubby's. She's so eclectic in her design styles and what she can do is pretty amazing. She also worked on Gusto 501 here. But for Stella, because it was a build out, um, she really did that whole look and feel is her.
Oh,
Yeah.
now I'm even more excited to go. I love Chubby's. Chubby's, by the way, if you're listening, is in Toronto, and it's just the best Jamaican food
Mhm.
ever. So yummy. You know what? It's so good to talk to you. And we don't do it nearly enough, but I'm glad that we reconnected in the winter time. And so we'll make sure that we do more of that. Every episode we like to end with something we just call design intervention. It's just a great piece of business advice, words to live by, some nugget that you think of that's helped you in your life. It doesn't have to be related to being a money warrior, but it could be anything. Anything come to mind?
I think it's crazy that's what this podcast has been about. Me of all people talking about money. I mean, that's just showing the huge transformation I've had around my relationship with money, which is
Yeah.
pretty amazing. I would say that I feel like I've had like a lot of magic show up in my life, which is amazing. And the thing that there's a couple of things that I feel if you have the courage to do this, just magic can show up in your life, which is one is to have a goal, right? To have a goal and speak it into reality. You don't have to know how to get there. You just want to start saying it. And I'll give an example. I have a another business that I'm looking at doing, and I just started speaking it into reality. People say, "Well, what are you up to?" And I'm like, "I'm going to start a food manufacturing business." And they're like, "Wow, that's amazing. What are you going to do?" And then I was just speaking, and then people started to show up. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I have a product that I want to produce. Da, da, da. And within a year, I found someone who's now my business partner. And it's literally like these crazy things that started happening and how we got connected and so on. But I just kept on speaking it into reality. So my advice to people is that if you have something, you don't have to know how to get there, but if you have a passion for something and you have a vision to do something, just start speaking it into reality. A lot of times people have this kind of scarcity thing where they're like, I don't want to share my idea because someone might steal it, that type of thing.
Right.
But you really need to understand that whatever your idea is, even if it's been done before, no one's going to do it the way that you do it.
Right.
Otherwise we'd have one hamburger place, we'd have one place that makes pizza. Like it really
Wow.
is about like just feeling it in your body that this is the right thing for you, and start sharing it, because that's how you actually create that energy around it that brings, what you want to you. And so speak into reality. Don't be afraid to do that.
I've
You don't
never
have to know
heard
how
that
to get to
before.
that point. Huh?
I never heard that before. Speak it into reality.
Speak it into reality. And don't be attached to how you're going to achieve it, because you do not have to know.
Okay, well, I'm going to see my friend Angela Lawrence more often. How do you like that? Suddenly you'll just wake up and think, I should call Kimberly. I haven't seen her in a while.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll be speaking it into reality. Angela, call
Get
me.
into
Call me, Angela.
reality. Oh my
Yeah.
God. All right, hon. Thank you so much. It was so good to see you. I really appreciate the conversation.
It's great to see you too. And thank you for inviting me to have this conversation.
Anytime.
Great.
Say hi. Hey, say hi to Janet too.
I will. I will.